Welcome to The Warm-Up, a Bailiwick Express podcast giving you an insight into the sports action that is on the horizon. Hello, I'm Nick Mann. It's a period of change for Guernsey Cricket, and with a summer ahead that features a T20 international tournament on our shores, I talked to new men's manager Rob Thomson about the sport's ambitions. We begin by discussing how he first got involved in cricket.
I guess it's kind of always been there, growing up in a very sort of sporty family, and anything that's on live is tended to be on the telly for a long time now. But it was really moving to Guernsey and kind of just being thrown in as you do very randomly in Guernsey with various things. When I moved to the island, I mean, as I still am now, I was working for HSBC at the time, and since inception of Griffins, they were the sponsor. I think it was 2009. The team was short one day, so I went off down to Lamar de Carteret with a colleague, got dragged along, played the first game there, and it just grew from there, really. So I didn't really have much of a background, if any at all, here in the UK. So yeah, just completely by chance. And then, fast forward sort of 13, 14 years, and it's been a bit mad, really.
And why move into the more managerial coaching side of things as well? How did that transition work out?
I mean, that's kind of happened, I would say. Certainly, we had maybe a couple of years away from the island around 2011, 12-ish. And when I came back, I'd started to do a few bits to help Paul McCormick, who was the secretary of Griffins at the time, just before I left. And yeah, came back to the island and kind of signalled my intention to help him with whatever needed doing when we came back. And that very quickly became, becoming the secretary of the club at that point. So I'd always had some sort of, I guess, skills in on the admin side and just sort of bringing things together. So I think it worked well for Paul, who was kind of looking to step away from it around that time. And yeah, we kind of grew what at that point, back in sort of early 2013, was a two-team sort of social evening league club into kind of the sort of the powerhouse that it is today, I guess.
And it must have been amazing to be involved in that. Have you got any highlights over that time as well, looking back on it?
Yeah, I think if we go back to 2016, that was the year the club won its first ever Roselle Shield, so the Evening League Division 1. I think prior to that point and a few years before that, the club had only really kind of contested sort of Division 2, 3 at first team level, and then had a second team down in Division 5, 6, 7, whatever it looked like over the years. But we really kind of kicked on 2014, 15 and 2016, culminated in winning the Roselle Shield for the first time. So I think locally that's, realistically the biggest thing, a domestic club can win. You've got the history and the heritage of that competition. So to kind of get our hands on that for the first time and become a new winner of that competition was really exciting. We won it again in 2017, which was amazing. But yeah, I would say kind of as a first highlight, certainly that. This year, I guess from my perspective, domestically with Griffins, a bit of a final achievement. We won the Channel Island League for the first time. To be crowned champion club across both Guernsey and Jersey was an incredible achievement. We'd had a quiet few years, I would say, on the success front. So for that to come along this year when we maybe didn't expect it was all the more sweeter. So that was pretty incredible way to go out as well.
And how did your transition into the Guernsey setup happen as well?
As much as it will look to many like it's very orchestrated, stepping down from Griffins after 10, 11 years and kind of moving into this role, it absolutely wasn't. So I'd wanted to move away from the Griffins stuff for a couple of years now. But as with a lot of sports, finding other people to kind of, take on the roles and the responsibilities is no easy feat. So I put it back maybe a year ago and thought, well, look, let's see how 2023 pans out. Obviously, sort of from a sporting perspective and also personally, and made the decision quite early on this year that I would step away at the end of the season. The Guernsey stuff then came, completely by chance. Julia Prevost, who's the chairman of the selection committee that we have in place at the moment, approached me just from a selector's role at the start of the season. So putting a committee together from from those that are involved with the local island cricket to start having an input in selecting the squads that we put available for trips and tours and series was really exciting. So I agreed to do that, and it very quickly snowballed into something a bit more. So I started helping Frithie with a few things, asking various questions about how things worked, and before I knew it, that's turned into this role of sort of island team manager. So it's really, really exciting. It has come at a perfect time with various other things now freed up for me, and above all else, it's an honour to do that for Guernsey on the international stage. So it's something that it's been very busy. There's a lot to do, and there's a lot that we want to do, but it's really exciting at the same time.
Can you just explain a bit more about the role of the manager in cricket as well, how that pans out?
Yeah, sure. So we've got Jeremy Frith, who's director of cricket. So that's, I guess, all encompassing really, with starting at the top with the senior men, and then it's all the way down through the pathways and through right to the juniors. So it's, I guess, oversight of all of that process. So my role is just specifically the Island men's side, and a lot of that is just around bringing all of the key stakeholders together for decision making. I guess trying to have an involvement with what the cricket looks like for those players. So there's an element of that with the domestic cricket, just making sure that their views are heard on that front, and that we're evolving and making sure that we're playing the right cricket. And then a big part, putting together a schedule at Island senior men's level for the guys on a yearly basis. So if we look ahead to 2024, that's been getting fixtures arranged with the MCC. We've got some first class academies coming over. We're looking at a T20 international series on the continent. We've got a couple of those that hopefully will come to fruition quite soon. We've obviously got the tournament, so we're looking at when that falls and what our prep can be for that. And then you've obviously got your various interinsulars as well. So it's putting together a schedule that's really compelling for the guys, that makes them all excited about playing cricket, and equally as well, there's a big piece on availability, so making sure that what we put on captures everyone, that we make sure that we can pick from everyone that we have available, which is possibly not something that's been done in the past. So there's a whole kind of piece on the player engagement side as well, which we've had meetings with all of the senior players and those on the fringes in the last sort of, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks, just to get a feel for where everyone's at with their own games, where they are personally, what their views are, just to really canvass opinion across the board and make sure that we're covering all the bases. So that's been looking at training programs, strength and conditioning, obviously the playing side, and then looking at kind of seeing what people's needs are with time off and the financial side as well. So it's pretty wide ranging, as you would expect from amateur stuff. Just about making sure that we don't leave any stone unturned in pursuit of making sure that the Ireland side can be as strong and competitive as it possibly can be, really.
And what's your goal? Because where do we see Guernsey cricket going? What is success in an island context?
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting question at the moment. I think if you ask different people, they'll probably give you different answers. As people know, cricket on the field isn't entirely straightforward, and for an amateur country like ours, it's exactly the same off the field as well. So we've got challenges with the different types of format. At the moment, as we sit here now, based on our global ranking, T20 is the only international cricket that we currently play. The 50 over stuff is, let's say, a level above us at the moment. So they've kind of cut off your sort of threshold, your ranking for getting into global 50 over cricket, and we need to get back into that. The problem with that is the ICC changed what that looks like regularly. So from our perspective, as we sit here today, the only way to get back into that is to improve our T20I ranking. So we kind of started that with a huge series win over Germany last August, which rocketed us up, I think, 7 or 8 places globally. And at the moment, it's about trying to put on more series like that, so we can climb the rankings as high as we possibly can. That there's the cycle for 50 over cricket as it currently stands is a 3-year one, and they're just embarking on that new cycle. So if they continue with the structure as it is, we've got 3 years now to really improve our T20I ranking to then get back into the at the table for 50 over cricket. At the same time, we don't want to neglect that longer format of the game. For a lot of people, that's very very much the traditional way of playing cricket and what people prefer. We've obviously got to make sure that when we do get back to that level, we're still playing plenty of it to be able to be competitive and successful when we get back there. So it's putting a schedule together that recognises that and has some long format cricket, but at the same time, we've currently got to allocate probably the majority of our budget to T20I cricket.
And I guess we're talking T20I, it's great to see the announcement just a couple of days ago about the tournament coming to Guernsey. But how important is it to have that kind of carrot at the end of a season?
Yeah, it's massive in so many ways. It's really testament to Mark Latter, the outgoing CEO at the moment, for having that. Mark's bid for that on behalf of the island and delivered that, and it's huge for the ICC to give Guernsey hosting rights for such a big competition. So that's from years and years of hard work and dedication that Lats has put in. And most recently we hosted the under-19 version, I guess, of this last year so successfully. So it's massive for us. It's obviously brilliant for the island from an economy perspective, and getting people over here. There'll be 9 other countries for 10 days, so it's a huge event. And I think at our level it's huge because for the players it means the difference between probably having to take 3 days off work versus 10 or 11. That in turn means availability for that tournament should be a lot higher than it would be if we were having to go onto the continent to play it. We're playing it at our own grounds, at our own facilities, on our own surfaces that we know, and it will give us a real competitive edge as well over everyone else. So you kind of put it all together, and it gives us a really, really strong opportunity to progress to the next stage of the World Cup qualifying than it probably would if it was anywhere else in the world. So we couldn't ask for any more. We've had the draw, so we already know who we're going to be playing and how that looks in a 10-team format. So we can start to do the work there and really create some excitement around that tournament for the whole island. It's at the end of August, which for us means we can spend the whole season kind of building up to it, which is perfect. We'll go into the tournament really hot. So everything put together, it couldn't be any more favourable for us. And we've got to just translate that into success on field and make sure that we've then got a tournament the following year as well.
And it's been a period. There's been a few announcements from Guernsey Cricket in the last sort of month, I guess, starting with your appointment. We've had Ollie Nightingale being announced as the captain as well. It feels like there's some, and the tournament, so it feels like there's some momentum building, and it must be an exciting time to be involved.
Yeah, it is. You go back a bit further there with the announcement of Frithie, kind of, I guess, at the start of all that, which is really exciting as well. So, he's from a playing perspective, everything Frithie did over his career was absolutely incredible. So to have him and everything that he can bring in as that director of cricket role is fantastic, and it's kind of laid that platform for the rest of everything to come from. Ollie recently appointed as captain is really exciting. That's a significant change for us for the group, but a really, really positive one. So Matt Stokes was interim captain for the second half of last season after Josh Butler stepped down, but we were very keen at the time to make sure that once we got through the season that there was a proper process put in place to determine who would be the full-time Ireland captain moving forwards. Ollie came out of that process really favourably. As we said, with an amateur group of players on such a small island, there's a lot to that role, that Ollie's going to have to do other than just kind of leading a side on the field. So, there's many aspects to that role that Ollie's going to have to kind of immerse himself in with, and a bit like myself, kind of linking people in together, and quite a lot of off-field responsibilities. So taking everything into account, we were absolutely delighted to have had half a dozen players sort of throw the hat in the ring for that role. And in terms of the the decision makers there, we were unanimous that Ollie was the right man to lead us forward. So he does that ahead of a huge year. There's, as we've already alluded to, there's a lot riding on 2024, but it's the group are excited. We want to turn the year, get back into some winter training, and then kick on from April onwards.
That's fabulous. If you can look into the future, where would you like to see Guernsey Cricket in 5 years' time?
I'll go a bit shorter, and I'll sort of refer back to the 50 overs. So let's assume the ICC structure stays as it is. I want to be going into, what would it be, 2027 with a 50 over tournament booked in the diary. It's a level of cricket that Guernsey historically has played at and been competitive at. I know that this group that we've currently got could be competitive at that level and would be. The group is still quite a young group, so I don't really see in 3 years' time, too much of a change personnel wise, with the added increase of some talented youngsters coming through. So it's going to be going into 2027 with some 50 over international cricket booked in the diary. That's the aim. That's what I'm certainly planning towards, and a lot of my efforts are headed towards making that happen as best as I possibly can. So that will be success, and that's what I think we can achieve. So let's see. Hopefully we can sit here in 3 years' time and have that conversation with a reality on it.
That was the warm-up. Thanks again for listening. Please like and subscribe for more. You can find all our sports news on gsy.bailiwickexpress.com and on all our social channels. Sign up to our daily email to keep up to date on all the work the Express team does.